Hello, this is Jilly Bling. How are you today? I have a project that I've been working on all day, and it was intended to be a really simple project. Edward Jones, my financial advisor, they make cards and they print their name at the bottom of them. And so I never thought to ask them, hey, do you need some cards? But after they figured out what it is that I do with a passion, they said, well, you know, we need sympathy cards and get well cards. Of course, we send out birthdays and Christmas cards, and they have their little name already printed on it. So I was asked to make some sympathy cards. And the cards, when you're putting greetings on the outside and inside, they didn't want them all smushy and sending love your way and love and hugs, because that's not what a company does. So we came up with these. And Fawn at Edward Jones, she had a card that I made using Vine, I think it's called Vine Design Bundle, and I don't have that anymore. So I brought in 3 other large background dies, and I said, what do you think about these? And what colors do you want? And what words do you want? And again, she's trying to keep it really simple and not too smushy. So with sympathy is what she chose, and then our thoughts are with you. And I had to go through some old stamp sets, but then as I started pulling out papers, which you'll see in this pile, it's like, oh, imagine those colors. So these are the ones that I made for Fawn and Chris. In Misty Moonlight, she wanted all the same words on a little label. I gave her a few choices, which you'll see in here, but she chose this. And then on the inside again, she just wanted it really simple. And I think I have one other greeting. Oh, and then she wanted it in petal pink. That's the same greeting. Oh, lots of them. But isn't it fun just seeing the repetition? So this is what I've been doing today, was making these for her. But then I started thinking as I was poking out the pieces and die cutting them. Oh, wishing you comfort. That's the other one. I thought, what if you put designer paper behind here? What about other words? Because not everyone needs 12 sympathy cards. So that's what this pile is. And I started looking, so just warning, most of these are solid colored cardstock back behind here until I started thinking about what designer paper would be. And then as I went to my stash of designer paper, oh my gosh, it got crazy. But I'll show you these first. So I pulled out these dies. I'll show you all the dies I used in just a minute. And then I had to find words. And most of these are retired items, just because I was in the box of retired product. And there's so much good stuff in there. Anyhow, you could use anything you want, any words, you could stamp it, or you could use these dies. Happy Birthday comes from the same set. I think it's called Just Saying. Oh, Wanted to Say. That's where these come from. And I love the vanilla with smoky slate and then just a hint of color. And I have all these satin ribbons, and this just works perfectly there. So happy birthday. And I'll show you all the sets, even though many of them, the majority of them, maybe all of them, are retired. You're Too Kind. And this background die and the leaf background die are Gorgeous Garden dies. So in the back of the catalog, I'll show you that in just a minute. It's 2 big dies, and you get both of them, and they're just beautiful. So these are all the different ideas. And the more I did, the more I wanted to do more. And when I pulled out the designer papers, it's like, you know, I had to stop somewhere because getting a little crazy. Okay, so the dies are Gorgeous Garden, which is a set of 2. The one with the leaves on it, and then this one with the flowers on it. Beautiful dies. Then another big one, and these are available now, and Two-Tone Flora. Did you know Two-Tone Flora, you get dies to cut out the flowers, then you get this big one. Isn't that pretty? When she saw these dies, she's like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Like, yeah. Okay, so Gorgeous Garden, two-tone flora for this big one. Cheerful Daisies is more for this label word die. Something Fancy is for a bigger, or maybe no, it's a smaller die. And these are just different label ones. This is a retired die set, and I used that for the big one, this big one here. But you could use whatever you have. And then there's Wanted to Say dies, and that's the one for the words. And those come in 2 pieces. For instance, Happy Birthday. This is the outline. And then Happy Birthday, this is the one that does the detail. And they just lay right on top of each other. Or the You're Too Kind. The 2 different colors, 2 different dies. Fun, fun, fun. But today's project will be, actually all these are really quick. And the cards, I was thinking, oh, I should put another layer underneath this label. Oh, I should put bling on it. Oh, I should find a stamp set that coordinates and stamp on the inside. But I'm doing my best to keep it simple, which is very hard to do. But they look great. They feel great. Okay, so these are the stamp sets, and as I said, most of them are retired. Frame Florets, great words. Lasting Lily, good sympathy words. Flowering Tulips, I want to use this one today. Of all time, I love that die. And these tulips, too bad it retired. And Peaceful Moments, another favorite of all time. Okay. You ready? Okay, in the catalog on page 164 is Gorgeous Garden dies. Look at those. And you could see them on use on page 18, but they don't specifically coordinate with the stamp set. They're all by themselves and they shine. Then there's also Two-Tone Flora. Did you know these are alphabetical order? And Two-Tone Flora right here on page 167, that's the other background one. Okay. So I want to do one in Garden Green, and you know how I said I pulled out all these designer papers, and I just thought I'm going to use them all. And when you see my stack, you'll see that I got a little crazy. That's a big stack. And it's all retired, but it's all so pretty. Like, could you imagine that behind a background? Or the flowers behind a background? This one is really cute. But when you turn it over, you've got more. Ooh, that one's kind of tropical. Yeah. This one, they're all really fun with the die cut piece laid over the top. And you could choose white or vanilla for any of them. I tried the Fresh Freesia one, this one right here, and vanilla. Beautiful. It's very rich looking. But let's use this one because I have garden or Granny Apple Green. Let's just use this one that's on top. But you could go so many different directions with all these designer papers and all the colors in them. Woo-wee. Okay, let's get to building this card. So this is thick white cardstock. Okay, and this just gets layered on here. Oh, that's cute too. And then I have 2 different sizes of white paper, one for the inside and then one to lay over the top. I now put all the paper cut sizes on my blog, and my blog is jillybling.com. Okay, so that's stuck down. These are inside papers. These are Stamp and Cut Stuff Out, and this one will get a large die. And it's just a little bit bigger than the designer paper is 4 by 5 1/4. This piece I'm going to use with the big background die is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so I'm going to choose the leaf die just because I think the holes in it are a little bit bigger than the other ones because I want to see the print through there. So get this lined up. And it's interesting the fit on this because there's a little bit more here on the sides compared to how much is here at the top and the bottom, but somehow it all works out just fine. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out. And there it is. And there's no top or bottom to this, which is kind of fun. So I'm going to use liquid glue to stick this on. And after making all of those for Fawn and Chris, I kind of got a rhythm to making this, sticking it on. So just along the edge, a little bit on these leaves. And I'm just going to do 2 of the 4 sides at this point. And I'm going to kind of spread out the glue just because I know that this white piece of paper is going to be going over the designer paper, and the little ridge of the designer paper is going to be right in the middle of that line. So it's going to make it a little bit hard to stick down. Therefore, if I spread the glue, I'll have a better chance of it sticking down. So I'm just doing half of it at this point. Okay, so I'll show you what I was talking about by spreading the glue out. I'll turn this over. So if I just put one line right in the center of that edge of the paper, the white band, and I have glue up here at the top, because it's bridging right over this piece of designer paper onto the card base, it would say, okay, I'll kind of stick to the highest level, but because I spread the glue out, it will probably stick just a little bit better. I think no matter what way it would stick. But I don't know if you could see that there's just like a hair of the card base showing through there. Then just stick that down. And I'm going to let it dry for just a minute. And then I'll flip this side up and I'll put glue on here. If I had glue all over the whole thing, I would be full of glue and it would be really hard to maneuver it. I'd have glue everywhere and then get it straight. So at least this way it's a little bit controlled. So on the inside, I'm just going to stamp words. This is kind of hard because you know how I always like to decorate the inside. So here's the inside. And on the outside, I want to do that. This one right here from the flowering tulips. Oh, I could do that now. So just in black Memento ink. Gosh, if you had pretty Christmas paper, you could do this for your Christmas card. Okay, then I'm going to take a punch, and if you don't have the right size hand punch, because I think I've kept all of my circle punches, you could find a die. There's the new decal circle dies. I'm sure you could find one that would perfectly fit and look really cute. Okay, and then on the back black paper, I want to use the die from Cheerful Daisies. This one right here. Because if I were to put this on right now, it just gets lost in there. Okay, it's still a little bit lost. So I was thinking, well, what color ribbon should I put on there? And I came up with some, again, a retired product, Shaded Spruce. Nice wide ribbon. And I have like 3 rolls of this because I like it so much. And I keep thinking, oh, it should be at Christmas, but look how nice that is. And I really didn't come up with a plan on how to cut this. Isn't that nice? I like greens though. Looks like my punch might be getting a little old. If you have a punch and if it leaves like a little rough edge like that, you could take your snips and trim it, or you could take a nail file and that will take off the little pieces. People say that if your punch gets tired and if it's doing that, you can take tin foil and punch it multiple times. And I've tried that and it doesn't work too well for me. So usually when that happens, it just means it's time to get a new one. And it's the pits when it's all retired and everything. Okay. So this is going to go on here. I'll just put that on with dimensionals. Thank you. Do you have some stamp sets that you just love and you'll never get rid of them because you just love them? This ribbon is so wide, I wonder if I could do a little bit of a flag. Oh, but if I did that, maybe I could do a shallow flag. I was thinking if I did a flag, not much of the green would show, but I'll just do a shallow flag. So if ever you want to put a flag edge on paper or ribbon, just cut a little bit in the middle and then cut from one side to the middle. Then the other side to the middle. And that's a good length, so I'll do it again right here. I'm excited about getting into the new products from the mini catalog. My order came in and I have a whole bunch here, but I haven't taken the time yet to jump in. It's a little bit intimidating because there's no ideas, no inspiration, well, other than the catalog. But when stampers get going and they get ideas, when I get going and have ideas, the ideas are very inspiring. I guess I need to blaze a trail and get to doing something. Then I'll have plenty of ideas. So, and I don't need to get all of these little leaves attached, because when I put the words on there, that will attach. It'll attach them. And also, if it's not all attached, it kind of is 3D. And again, I'm doing this with a lot of coverage on this edge just because it's going to go over the edge of the designer paper. The first few I just did a stripe down. I'm like, doesn't seem to be holding down there very well. And then I realized it's kind of sticking to the designer paper only and not the card base. So just a few little dots on the leaves. And I know I missed quite a few of them, but that's okay. Isn't that fun? Well, if you put anything on blues or granny apple green or many of the greens, I love it. It's such a beautiful die. I've used this one a few times. The flower one, that was the first time I've used that. Okay. So now the thank you could go on the ribbon. Right in the middle. Thank Thank you. Ooh, that's pretty. These cards would be good to have in your stash in your drawer or wherever you keep them. Just because you know you need cards on hand. And it's so much fun. The designer paper, when I pulled that out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Okay, so no, I put glue on the back of the little black label, and it's sinking through there, just like I planned. But thinking forward, if I were to put glue all over here, you would be able to see it through there onto the front, and I don't want to do that. Therefore, I will put glue just where the black label is, and that will be plenty of adhesive to hold this ribbon in place. How's that look? Bang! Done with a card. Almost. Almost. We have to do just a little something on the inside. Okay, you are so thoughtful. Thank you. I owe that thank you to Carol and Connie. On Friday, us girls went out for lunch. Fun, fun, fun. And I put my phone in a project box, offered to carry Connie's project box, and left my phone in the project box. And I just knew she was driving home, which is over an hour away. And I thought in my head, well, I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I'm going to be going to Connie's house. This is a brand new stamp. So when you have a brand new stamp, whether it be cling or polymer, when you first get it, it has a coating on it. And you could see I'm reaching for my nail file just to do a rough. But somebody said if you stamp it in Versamark, clean it, and stamp it a few times, that works. And then somebody also said take an eraser, and that will take off that coating. So I'll just do half of it. Let's do a test. And I know that there's all kinds of eraser crumbles on there. That much eraser crumbles. That wouldn't be good in the stamp pad. Okay, so let's see if that works. So I just did it on the little letters. I didn't do it on the word friend. Let's see how it works. If it helps. Well, that came out pretty perfect. Even this came out perfect. Well, maybe you don't need to take the time to do that. Anyhow, back to my story. So it ended up that without my phone, how am I going to call Connie to tell her, hey, don't go too fast? And then we promptly went to a movie. We saw Barbie. It was fun. That turned out nice. Anyhow, I got Carol's phone, called Connie, left a message, and then Carol was thinking about it as we sat there and watched the movie. Carol, I hope you had a chance to watch the movie. And, oh, dirty fingers. Anyhow, Carol was sitting in a different area, and she came over and she says, in the middle of the movie, I'm going down to get your phone. Connie's here in the parking lot. And I'm like, that is like a dream come true. Because I thought my Saturday was going to be stopping by Connie's house. It all worked out, and just like that worked out, there's just a hint of something. Anyhow, so to the two of them, you are so thoughtful. Thank you. And I know I said it to both of them. Probably. Oh, look how the ink transferred. Oop, is the ink transferring here? Maybe that's what the problem was. Probably 5 times each. I told them both thank you. But what would you do without your phone? I was just thinking, okay, it's going to be 24 hours. And in some ways I was like, dang, that's not going to be good. But then in other ways I thought, well, maybe it would be good. Maybe it would be like a nice break. But it all worked out perfectly. And I'm so grateful. Every time I see my phone, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy it's there. Anyhow. So, see, that card went pretty quick. It's pretty simple. I see a hint of something. If ever that happens, Amazon sells Tombow Sand Eraser number 512A mono. Is for ink, but it's kind of like a nail file where if I rub it right over this spot, it takes off a thin layer of paper. That's all it took. And I could feel it's a little bit rough, but at least you don't see the ink that was on there. Okay, that's it for today's card. The designer paper looks good, huh? Very simple. Kind of hard to do simple, but it looks good. Okay, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the like button. Thanks. Bye.